South Dakota is considered a mecca for pheasant hunting. Chasing roosters is ingrained within the culture. It's a place hunters descend upon year after year, and with good reason. More than 1 million roosters are taken each year in South Dakota. No other state produces those kinds of numbers of wild pheasant in any given season. And the opportunities to find land to hunt stretches from horizon to horizon. Over 1.5 million acres of private land are open to the public for hunting in South Dakota. I invariably return here year after year to chase these birds with good friends behind a string of great bird dogs. But this year is a bit different. I've accepted an invite to hunt behind some field-bred golden retrievers, and what will be a first for me. These are tough, capable bird dogs who can hold their own in the uplands and still be a family pet. This is a story about families, generations carrying on traditions of field. This is a story of a man who retired to his favorite hunting grounds to chase the wild game he loves. This is a story of cold and wind and fighting hard for wild birds buried deep in thick cover. This is something both new to me and quite familiar. This is Wild Upland.
Wild Upland is brought to you by Purina Pro Plan.
I've known Sean Skipper for years now. We both began in the industry around the same time, and we've become close friends. We are both passionate bird hunters, and for the past couple of years, we have met up to chase wild birds together. Sean's been after me for years to come hunt with him and his father behind their field-bred golden retrievers. While Goldens are one of America's most popular dogs, I usually think of them as house dogs, or walking the streets with their owners. But seeing a field-bred Golden in action reminds me why these dogs have retriever in their name.
So I'm in eastern South Dakota hunting late season pheasants because my buddy Sean Skipper gave me a call and he invited me to come out where his dad and his famous golden retrievers are. He's been begging me for years to come out and hunt over their Goldens, and I've actually never done that before. And so I was like, you know what, sign me up, I'll meet you out there. And I left my dogs at home because, you know, typical pheasant, territory, it's gonna be thick, it's gonna be nasty, and my dogs don't do super well with that because, they prefer the wide open prairie. But I've never hunted with these Goldens before, and I love hunting with Sean, so I head in the east.
Sean and his father are both from the Baltimore, Maryland area. Sean's work at Leupold led him to relocate to Oregon for his job, but his dad, Patrick, was winding down his career as an electrician and decided to settle in some of his favorite hunting grounds, to be in the heart of upland and waterfowl hunting.
When I moved to South Dakota in this area, I knew a few people in different towns, but nobody local. And I actually had some guys pouring some concrete in my driveway from my RV, and got to talking to the guys, and he said, yeah, a friend of mine's gonna stop by. He says, you and him ought to get together and do some pheasant hunting. He loves pheasant hunting. So Sheldon stopped by, seeing I had a couple of Goldens at the time, and we got to talking about pheasant hunting. And me being a retired electrician, he needed a little work at his house, and I said, well, look, I like to barter if you'd like to barter. And he said, absolutely. And So I said, look, I'll do a little bit of work at your house for you. I said, my son's coming in for the holidays. I said, do you mind taking us pheasant hunting? He says, it's a deal. And we've been pheasant hunting together ever since.
I love South Dakota. I was born and raised here, and I'm not a big fan of huge crowds, and we have less than 1 million people here in South Dakota, so I love that part of it. I've always been a country boy, and I will probably always be a country boy, so South Dakota's a good place for me.
Come on, bud. Sheldon's lived here his entire life, and he is a passionate pheasant hunter. And I heard that that's the only thing that he hunts, and so I felt like I could relate with him. You know, I'm an upland hunter, and we share that passion for not only birds, but dogs. And I knew that he had a great golden that was gonna be joining us in the field named Gus, and so I was really excited to meet him. And you know, it's Sheldon, you can tell he lives and breathes rooster hunting, right? He's got a booklet that he carries around where he's got all these permission, all these private properties, and he's got them, you know, labeled out by big swaths, little swaths, and he too loves to host hunting camps. And I think that's just so cool that these guys are like, yes, I love to personally hunt, but please, I love to host these hunt camps even more. Rooster, up ahead! Good shot, guys! Good job, guys. Good work. Good one. Good boy, Gus.
Wild Upland is brought to you by Purina Pro Plan, nutrition that performs. Travel South Dakota. Hunt the greatest. Browning, the best there is. Fiocchi, your upland ammo for every pursuit. Onyx, know where you stand. Tetra Hearing, hear the hunt.
I'm in South Dakota chasing pheasants with good friends over some unique bird dogs. Golden Retrievers are one of America's favorite breeds. They are personable, loving, and loyal to a fault. But you don't often see them out in the hunting fields or duck blinds these days. So, when my friend Sean Skipper invited me to hunt over field-bred Goldens with his dad, Patrick, I was curious to see these dogs in action. And they did not disappoint.
Good boy, Max.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hey, thank you, guys. Thank you, bud. That was nice of you.
I'm always happy to bring you a bird.
Man, I love a South Dakota rooster. Beautiful wild bird. Thank you. Oh, Max, thank you, bud. Hi. Man, I love roosters.
Max, he hadn't even seen a pheasant until 3 years ago when my dad moved out here. And so it was a challenge. My dad took him out and started to expose him to birds, dumped him in the fields, and just kind of it was a learning on the job situation. Max, already a mature dog. He was 5 when they got out here. So he had to kind of pick things up on the fly. And Sheldon Thompson, one of my dad's friends, he's also running a golden retriever named Gus. They were very helpful in kind of getting my dad settled and showing him where he could hunt, helping him make the friends to get access to land. And fortunately, Max has just got the drive and the passion and started figuring things out, and now they're a nice little pheasant hunting duo.
He does okay. He's not a pheasant dog. As you'll see in the show, Gus is the best pheasant dog I've been around in quite a while. I've hunted with some other folks and they have dogs, but if I had my choice, I'd hunt with Gus every day.
It was pretty cool to watch Gus as well because he had a little bit of point in him. A lot of times you hear people talk about pointing labs, right? And some people believe in it and some people don't, but my explanation of it is the animal's instinct is to pause while it's hunting and then pounce. And so I saw a little bit of that in Gus this week. He actually had some nice points. And what he was doing was he was showing us, I smell a bird here, and he was pausing before he actually pounced in on the bird. And it was really, really cool to see because he really dug out those roosters that were hard to find. And you could always tell in the cattail sloughs because he'd stop. You'd see him bulldozing through the sloughs and then all of a sudden he'd stop. And, you know, we'd all kind of sit there and Sheldon say, he's on a bird, and it'd be a few seconds later and a rooster would get up.
He's on point. Here we go. Oh, there he is. Get him up. Rooster!
Good shot!
Got all out. Bring him here, Gus. Come.
Good job, boys, good job.
Good shot, Jack.
We never expected a golden retriever to be able to point, but he does that occasionally. He'll lock up on a bird, and when I don't hear him move or see him move, I know he's locked in on a bird and get over there as fast as I can. I actually have to kick at the weeds to get Gus to flush him, but he does a pretty good job of pointing when he does it, but he does a great job of retrieving.
Good boy, Gus. Good boy.
You know, we're really gotten to a lot of birds this week. I know, you know, Skip and Sheldon were a little worried about it. You know, I think they wanted to make sure we had a good time, but of course this show isn't about killing a bunch of birds. It's about watching dogs work and the fantastic people and places that we go. And so, but we found the birds, and luckily we had a snow the first day, and so that really helped the birds hold tight and cover. And there was this one field where birds were just flying everywhere. It was almost got a little bit western.
He's acting like he's still here.
Yeah. There might be a bird in there. Good job, Gus. And I was able to bring a bird down. And of course, I started sprinting towards it because I know how these wild roosters behave. And it may look like you folded them, but they probably have hit the ground and started running. And that's exactly what this bird did. So I marked it, started running. And I hear Gus coming behind me. And thank goodness he was right there, because get to the spot, there's no bird, right? And it was almost like Gus picked up the trail right away, and he went about 5 yards to my right, and he puts his nose down into this thick cover, and I can just tell by the way that he's acting. I'm like, he's got the bird right there, and he dives in, and he comes out with it, and that was an awesome retrieve for me to see, because it showed the fantastic dog that he is. Good boy, Gus. Good boy, Gus.
Here. Let him go. Oh. Live bird.
Good boy.
Young bird. Hardly any. He's a young one. He's not too big.
There you go.
Good job, Gus.
Good job, Gus. That's why you need a good dog. Didn't hit him hard enough, and these wild birds, are tough, man. They will hit the ground and start running, even if you've knocked them down. That's why you need a Gus. Good job, buddy. Good job.
A frigid South Dakota pheasant hunt seems like an unlikely time to make a run for ice cream. But when you have one of the state's most famous dairies right down the road, it's worth taking some time away from the fields. And in these conditions, there's no concern about melting.
I'm standing in front of the famous SDSU Dairy Bar, which is attached to the Davis Dairy Plant on the campus of South Dakota State University. They made their first batch of ice cream in 1910, and since then, students helped to create more than 60 different flavors. And a fun fact, Oreo ice cream, which you better know as cookies and cream, was invented here in 1979. So let's go give some a try.
What can I get you?
I'm going with cookies and cream, the famous cookies and cream. One scoop. Yes, please, thank you. All right, let's give her a try. Yep, I know why they're famous. And it may be snowy and cold outside, but there's never a wrong time for ice cream.
Come on, bud. Let's go.
Let's go, boys. Game
Come on.
time.
The big thing was, neither day were we dealing with heavy wind. We had some breeze, certainly. You're not gonna have a completely calm day, completely still day in eastern South Dakota. But it was light enough that you weren't feeling it to the bones. At least I wasn't. You know, that can save an entire day. If you are not finding birds and miserable, it does get tough to keep going.
It's never a bad day hunting. Some days are better than others. The first day was really good. We saw a lot of birds. You know, we were pretty successful in bagging some. Second day was a little tough. I don't know what the snow did to the birds, but they seemed to go underground. They kind of disappeared on us. That's the greatest thing, you never know. If I knew, I wouldn't go. Right in front of Kali. Come on, Max. Max, come on.
Is Gus on it?
Come on, Max.
Get him up, Gus.
He's running now.
Rooster, shoot it! Come on, yeah! Woo!
All right, now we gotta find it. Come on,
Way to go, Gus!
Go get him,
Good
Gus.
job, Gus and Max!
Let's go get him.
boys. Come on.
Woohoo!
Here,
Good job,
give,
Max.
give, good boy.
Good job.
Good boy, good boy, give the bird. Good boy.
Hey, good shooting,
boy.
man. That's a nice shot.
That was left.
That was crazy how tight that bird was holding.
Yeah,
Gus went on point.
Good boy, Max.
That was crazy to see. I don't see a retriever point very often. And he was sitting there, I was like, there's a bird in there.
Oh, yeah.
And then he pounced, and then he started chasing it through the cattails. That was
Yeah,
cool.
bird had no option to go.
That was cool. We had gone for a little bit of a cold spell. We weren't really seeing birds, and you know, it was getting cold and it was getting late, and we had just finished at the end of a field, and I saw Gus go behind me. The #1 rule in bird hunting is always believe in your dog, always trust your dog. And I knew it, and I turned around and I started to follow him, and I'm like, you know, I'm just kind of standing there talking, and the next thing I know, Gus flushes up a rooster. Shoot it! Wow, good shot, Jack. I knew he was on. I knew he was on one. But typical wild roosters, they are tough. And he hit the ground and he started running. Now, none of us saw him run. And we got both Max and Gus over there looking for him. And, you know, we're all a little bit worried we had lost that bird. And we watched Gus go far over, way away from where we were. And he had to have been 300, 400 yards away from where we were. And the next thing I know is I hear Sheldon go, "He's got it." I'm like, that is how we wrap up the end of this day, man. A fantastic shot and a fantastic retrieve on a running rooster. What more could you ask for?
Wild Upland is brought to you by Purina Pro Plan. Nutrition that performs. Browning, the best there is. Fiocchi, your upland ammo for every pursuit. Lucky Duck, loyalty goes both ways. Travel South Dakota. Hunt the greatest.
There was a time not that long ago that an invitation to hunt over a Cocker Spaniel might be met with snickers. But like an English Cocker, Golden Retrievers are once again being recognized for their skills in the field. For this hunt, Golden's checked all the boxes, and I hope this is the first of many hunts to come behind these capable bird dogs.
You know, a lot of folks out there hunt with golden retrievers, they do, but there's definitely a subset of the community that almost overlooks them as hardcore hunting dogs. They're viewed as too soft or too gentle, or that, you know, people think they're not gonna have that drive, and all of it is just wrong. We saw these two dogs out in the field all week working hard. Today, we called the second day of our hunt, we called it. Like, we were ready to be done. It was 3:30. We hadn't scared up many birds. as we're hiking back to the truck, gonna pack it up, Max is diving off into ditches and diving off into fields, and he'd been running all day. I mean, these dogs do 7, 8 times the steps you do, and he still wanted after. He wanted one more rooster, he wanted one more bird, and they've got it. And I just love having the opportunity to show that to people. So one thing about my dad, and one thing I've learned about Sheldon Thompson as well, is they are just fantastic hosts. They love to have people out here. They've been so welcoming to me, especially. You know, it's easy to forget that when I show up, I'm a tourist, right? I show up and I'm like, take me to the pheasants. And they just do fantastic. They're so gracious in their willingness to host people, and they did the same for Kali and her crew this week. You know, we've had several fantastic meals. We've had snack bags packed. We've had drinks at the ready. We've had beers at the end of the day when the hunt is over. Sheldon's the first one to drag, you know, trash can, get the wire strung up to clean birds. Just fantastic people, and you know, I can't express enough of my own thanks to them.
So for years, Skipper has been begging me to come out here and hunt with his golden retrievers, and I am so glad that my first experience of hunting over goldens was with him, because I know that he's had this iconic line of goldens for many years now, his whole life. And of course, getting to come out here and share the field with passionate upland hunters such as Skip Sr. and Sheldon, who just lives and breathes rooster hunting. This is the culture that I want to be a part of. This is a culture that I'm passionate about. And, you know, come out here and share some epic days of field, shoot some birds, and go back and discuss the fantastic dog work over a big, bountiful meal. Like, that is amazing and everything that I live for.